Good. 58.
which is the gematria of Mashiach. If you're in Israel, Nes Gadol Hayapo is the gematria of the word Menachem.
Wow.
Menachem, the Gemara says, is the name of Mashiach. For in Eretz Yisrael, you even know the name. Over here, we just know about Mashiach. We don't know the name, who he is. Wanted to share something very interesting. It's a game. It's a kid's game. But everything that kids do with, I mean, not everything, but when children play with a dreidel in honor of Chanukah, there must be some kind of lesson we learn from it, even though it's little children playing it. And what is the rule of the game? The rule of the game is as follows. Turn the dreidel. Let's say each one takes 50 cents, 50 pennies. I have 50 pennies. You have, whoever's playing, we have 50 pennies. Now, if you spin the dreidel, it's your turn, and it falls out on a nun. Nun stands for nothing. You don't lose, you don't gain. The 50 pennies stay with you. If you get a gimel, oh, there's also money in the jackpot. There's money in the pot too. You take some money. Yeah, you take money and you add it to your collection. If you get a hay, then you take half of what's there in the pot. If you get a shin, then you lose. And they say like this: nun means nothing. No, nothing. Gimel, great. Hay, half. Shin, shameful. But what's going on over here? What are the real words? Nun is not nothing. Nun is nes, a miracle. Gimel is gadol, and hay is haya. So how do we connect? Who's there sleeping?
Easy.
Huh?
Easy.
You found out it was me. Why are you so tired? Why bore you?
No, I'm sorry. I fell asleep.
What?
Yeah, she fell asleep.
Maybe because you know I'm coming. This rabbi, used to speak, and before he started speaking, someone fell asleep. So the rabbi said, "I know I'm boring, but why did you sleep before I even started?" You know what he answered? "I had bitachon that you're going to be boring."
Oh my gosh. You guys already started? Okay. Stop doing class.
Probably a joke.
Just kidding.
Not a real story.
No, just.
I'm trying to explain the game of dreidel. I know it sounds weird. So here's how you explain it that we should fit into the actual words. A miracle happened. Hanukkah was a miracle.
Chief?
Huh?
What did you? Just kidding. No, this. No.
Which world are you in?
I don't know.
You don't even know where you are?
No.
Hey,
Wait, what is that?
see, my boys are really getting nostalgia from when I used to teach boys. Okay, I asked like this. On red, we have nice words. Nes.
Yeah.
So why is nes nothing? Why, when you turn the dreidel and you get a nun, is it counted as nothing? Nada. Zero. You don't gain and you don't lose. Why? It's a miracle. The answer is when miracles happen, very often, if you don't process it, it fades away, it doesn't last. It's wow, and then a day later, you're back to the same person as you were before. It didn't process, you didn't connect it to your daily lives at all. It meant nothing to you. That's why nes can be nothing. Miracle happened. The question is, how much did it affect you? What kind of impact did it have on you? Just the miracle itself can always be nothing doing. But that class is which class is that?
It was Mashiach and Yuma.
Still going on? Weird. Okay. So when you get nun, it's nothing. Gimel gadol. What does great miracle mean? Doesn't mean a greater miracle like it's more wondrous. It means more of an impact on you. When the miracle affects you deep, that hundreds of years later, you feel like it's happening today. You feel the ruach of Chanukah even today. That's great. And then you could take the whole jackpot. Take all the money that's there, put it into your collection. Hey, haya. What does haya mean?
Was.
It was. something of the past. I don't feel like it's happening today, but I could learn lessons from the past. It happened 2,100 and some odd years ago. But wow, I learned lessons from the past. That's good. It's half good only. Because you don't feel like it's really happening today, you're just learning some lessons from what happened. You know, historical event, things people learn from history. But you don't feel like it's an ongoing holiday, that the holiday is actually happening today. It's pertinent. You feel like it's just a, you know, an old holiday that we can learn some lessons from. So you're at least better off than the other guy who actually has nothing. What is Shin? Shum. It's over there. It's not, yeah, come on. Miracles don't happen today anymore. Has no relevance to me. It's over there. Shum means over there. I don't even know. You think I really believe in miracles? Maybe then, but today these things don't happen anymore. Then you got to work on yourself. Then you got to put from your money and put it into the pot because you need some work to do. You're in trouble. So when you you have a shin, it doesn't mean shameful. It means shum. Shum means far away from my real life. Hoya means it happened. I believe it happened. And wow, let's learn some lessons. Gimel means, wow, it's great. It's such a great miracle that it's lasting even 1,000, 2,000 years later. And Nun means, I haven't thought yet. I haven't processed anything yet. I haven't made any conclusions. Not a good conclusion, not a bad conclusion, so it's nothing. What did we learn last week? Anyone remember? Probably not. We learned about Machlokes of Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. 2 reasons why Beis Hillel says you light 1 candle the first night, then you add. And 2 reasons why Beis Shammai says you start from 8, you go down to 1. But before we even got to that piece, we mentioned that Chanukah has 3 levels of performance. Letter of the law, Al Pidim, going beyond the letter of the law, called Mahadrin, and going beyond. The only mitzvah that has 3 levels is Chanukah. And everyone, even the Jews that are, you know, not even so religious, keep the most beautiful way of doing the mitzvah. But there is an interesting, what I didn't mention last week, Sephardim and Ashkenazim have different customs. Usually the Sephardim follow the Sephardic leader. Who's the Sephardic leader? Beis Yosef, the Rambam. Rambam was a Sephardi, right? Tosafot, they lived in France, Ashkenaz, or Germany, France. Rashi was German. So it's Ashkenazi. So usually when it happens, when we have a machlokes, you know, Ashkenaz and Sfard, Ashkenazim of today follow their roots, like Rashi, Tosfos, and the Sfardim usually follow their roots, i.e. the Beis Yosef, the Yosef Karo, and the Rambam. In Chanukah, things switched around. There's a dispute between the Rambam and the Tosfos. And all the Ashkenazim follow the Rambam, and all the Sfardim follow Tosfos. What is this dispute about? How do you explain the third level? Level 1 is, what's level 1? Anyone know? Remember from last week? Level 1 is 1 candle for 1 member of the household. Only the father lights 1 candle each night, and you're good. Second level is everybody lights. Not just the father, but everybody lights. The third level is, that's where the machlokes is. How do you describe the third level? Does the third level have the second level plus, or is it replacing the second level? In other words, is it that we continue with the hidur of everyone lighting, and then we also have a second hidur that everyone who lights adds a candle each night? Is it just that every night everyone lights 1 candle, or every night everyone lights an additional candle? Am I losing you?
I don't understand how the first of the third is different from the second. Like
The second one is 1 candle each night, that's it. But everyone lights.
right.
That's level 2.
Yeah.
Level 3 is, according to the Rambam, not only does everyone light, but everyone adds a candle each night.
Yes.
So you have like 10 people in the house. The first night there are 10 candles. The second night there are 20 candles. Third night there are 30 candles in the house.
But what's the other opinion?
I haven't explained it yet.
Oh.
The other opinion says the third level doesn't include the second level, it replaces the second level. Instead of having the hidur of everyone lighting, let's forget about everyone. Let's just the father light. But the father, when he lights, he'll add a candle each night. So level 3 is not including level 2 plus, it's instead of level 2. Instead of having everyone light, which can confuse people, you don't know what Hanukkah, you don't know what night of Hanukkah it is. So many candles there. Instead of having everyone light, have one person light, but keep the heater of having each night a new candle. So the third level is another type of heater, which is an alternative to the first heater. Throw the first heater away, only one person lights, but you add a candle each night. Guess what we do? We follow the Rambam. We're Ashkenazim, we follow the Rambam, and all the Sephardim follow Tosfos. That's an anomaly. Very strange. By Chanukah, Achdus, the Ashkenaz become the Sephardim, the Sephardim become the Ashkenaz. Reminds me of Sphira. During Sphira, if you have Daf Yomi, which is the world of Daf Yomi is in the literature world. They have a minute. They learn a block Gemara, a page of Gemara every single day, and in 7 years they finish the whole Talmud. Amongst Chabad, we don't have such a minute. Some people do, but it's not a minute like Chitas and Rambam. They don't have what's it called? They don't grow beards. A lot of them they shave. When do they not shave? During Sphira. What are we doing during Sphira? We learn Daf Yomi on a certain tractate called Sota. So we are learning Daf Yomi, which is what they do, and they're growing their beards, which is what we do. So an interesting trade-off. But Ashkenaz and Sephardim. However, the Rambam does have it a little bit different the way we do it. The Rambam says that when you add a candle, when each member of the household lights, not that each one lights, the father will light for each one, meaning if there are, let's say, 6 kids in the house, 6 menorahs, the father will light the 6 menorahs, not the kids. He's lighting on behalf of the kids. But we go a step further, where each child, each member of the family has their own menorah and lights their own candle. Tosfos, however, holds, no. If we're going to follow the highest heater, just have one person, one menorah in the house, but be careful to add a candle each night. What is the reason for Shammai? Why would Shammai start with 8 and go down? Don't we have a rule you want to accelerate in Kedusha?
It was to show how great the miracle is on the first night.
But what about going down? You'll show the miracle is great on the 8th night. Why do you want to start with 8 and go down? When it comes to mitzvahs, you don't want to go down. Slow answer. Yeah.
Oil is going down.
Okay, so that's an interesting. You're saying that, according to one opinion, only 1/8 burned each night. Only 1/8 burned. So the first night they had 8/8. The second night they only had 7/8. The third night they had 6/8. So you want to publicize the miracle by starting with 8 and going down 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're actually describing what happened. And when you want to describe the nature of the miracle, that's better. It's a bigger heater than to start with 1, which has nothing to do with how the miracle happened. Okay. This was not mentioned in the Gemara, but some want to insert that into the Gemara. The Gemara gave another reason, which sounds kind of strange. We follow a sequence of the Pari HaChag, the cows of the holiday. The holiday, the Sukkot, there are 70 cows that are offered. How do they offer 70 cows all in one day? No. 13 cows the first day, 12 the next day, 11 down. What about adding in Kedusha? Aren't you supposed to add in holiness? It's just like when it comes to the cows of the Yontif. We see that since the 70 cows represent what? The 70 nations. And going down means that we're going to decrease in the Goyishkeit and the non-Jewish mode of behavior. Sukkot is going to cause not the non-Jewish lifestyle to drop gradually. So therefore, if I can't, on the contrary, by going down, you're actually doing something positive. Sometimes going down is a positive thing. So just like by the cows of Yontif, where you want to express on Sukkot, you want to express the idea of the non-Jewish energy in the world is going down. There, it's good to go down. So too with Chanukah, you want to show the miracle, as you just pointed out. But the first night there were 8/8, full menorah. Then 1/8, the second night 1/8 was missing. So we only had 7 parts, and 6 parts, and 5 parts going down to 1. This is how Beit Shammai looks at it. Or you could say Beit Shammai says, let's go and look at what we have in potential. What's your first night? How much of Hanukkah is left at the first night? All 8 days. Shammai looks at the whole picture all at once. They have an overall view. Potentially you have 8 nights to go. Hillel says, go by what you have, not by what you can have. So far, it's only 1 night. Light 1 candle at a time. We also explained that Shammai views the darkness. Shammai is a fighter. Gevurah. The first night of Hanukkah, there's a lot of darkness in the world. We haven't lit yet candles. So there's 8 levels of darkness. You got to combat that with 8 candles. The second night of Hanukkah, you've already worked on one candle, one element of the evil in the world, the klipa. So therefore, we only have to light 7 candles. Now, the last night, we only need 1 candle because we've gotten rid of most of the evil in the world. So Shammai is fighting evil. Hillel says, forget about fighting. Be a fighter. Focus on light. Don't focus on the darkness. Don't grapple with darkness. Live with light. What does that represent? What's the difference between fighting with darkness and why is it that today we don't want to follow Shammai? Fighting darkness can be very dangerous. First of all, you can get caught up in the darkness when you fight darkness. When you focus on fighting someone, the enemy can affect you. But number 2, even if it doesn't affect you, you seem to be satisfied with victory. You know, people have struggles in life, and you won. You're a survivor. You're living on the fact you won the war, but you don't have any appetite to go any further. How about thriving? Just surviving? So when you focus on darkness and getting rid of darkness, once you've got rid of the darkness, you can go to sleep. Like there's certain people, when it comes to Mashiach, what do they want Mashiach? There's so much trouble in this world. If the trouble goes away, you can live without Mashiach. It really happens. Mashiach is just the alternative to trouble. If there's no trouble, who needs it? We're good with it. So the deficit of using Shammai Shita of fighting evil is that if you focus only on fighting a war and you win that war, you're stagnant. You stay put. You don't go any further. Hill, on the other hand, says focus on something positive, on the beauty of light. And when you focus on light, you don't get caught up with darkness. In fact, you get an appetite. The more you want, the more you did, the more you accomplish, the more you want. If you have $100, you want to make 200. You made 200, you want to make 400. The more you have, the more you want. Your appetite grows, and you're not satisfied with yesterday's accomplishment. So we add. Hillel focuses on light. Shammai focuses on fighting darkness. That's why we don't focus so much on the war. We won the war. It was a miracle. And that's how we mention Al Anisim, but we don't talk too much about it. It's all about the Chanukah, the holiday of lights. What about the war? The Maccabees. And that's like, goes almost untouched. Because Chanukah is not about winning wars. Chanukah is about adding light, about focusing on the positive, not riding away negativity. Okay. In fact, we mentioned the word Hillel means light, it means a glow. Shammai means to estimate, evaluate, be very strict. And Hillel means glowing. So Hillel has the shita of focusing on light. Okay. I want to start a different Gemara today. I know it's a little bit late already. Not too many people here that are interested, but it's quite evident. Something wrong.
Rabbi Greenberg, you know Shira is engaged?
What?
You know Shira? Shiraz? Shira?
Shira, the
Israeli
Israeli girl.
Yeah,
She's engaged, you know?
she's engaged. I don't know. That's why she's not here.
Yes.
Yeah.
When was she? When did this happen?
Thursday? Thursday?
Thursday.
Wednesday.
Thursday.
No, Wednesday, yeah, Wednesday.
Wednesday. Oh wow, beautiful.
Yes. It's
Yeah, she had a l'chaim already.
Having her official time in Israel. She
Oh.
had like a little mini engagement party with this girl. That's all.
Maybe all of you can become collars and I won't have to come here. It's almost happening
I mean-
anyways, we have three more collars and then I can take a break.
Oh my God.
Minimum 4.
I mean, I hope we do become college, but not for that reason.
I would still show up to class.
What?
I would still show up to class.
Really? After you're married?
No, why not?
After you become a Kallah. Okay. We also mentioned last week about there's no tractate called Tractate Chanukah. Hanukkah lost that schus. And there's no Mishnah, there's Gemara, Talmud, yes, incorporated in a different tractate called Masechta Shabbos, page 21b and 22, 23 as well. But there's one Mishnah, the only Mishnah in the entire Talmud, which talks about the menorah. There are 6 other Mishnahs, but they don't discuss the menorah. They discuss the holiday of Hanukkah in passing. The only Mishnah that discusses Hanukkah, the Hanukkah menorah, is the Mishnah we're going to learn now. And guess what? It's not about how you light, about the laws of how you light, but rather what happens if the Hanukkah menorah causes damage. Who's responsible? So it's a negative thing about the Chanukah menorah. The only Mishnah, and it talks about something negative. So this is on the second page. You can see it on the right side. On the right side in the middle, Gemara attempts to derive a Chanukah law from a Mishnah that discusses tort law. Tort law means civil law. Tanan Hassam, we learned over there. Over there means in a different tractate. In a Mishnah. It's a very strange story here. Gate hayotze mitachas hapatish. The spark flies out from under a blacksmith hammer. The guy was chopping his hammer, and sometimes you have an electric spark emerging from the hammer, and went and damaged another property. So this is not Hanukkah. This is a normal guy just using his hammer, and he wasn't careful, and the spark caused some damage. The blacksmith, of course, is liable. Okay, that's simple. Next case. If a camel, gomel, shetoim pishton, camel laden with flax, was covered with a lot of flax. Flax is like linen, and it was passing over the camel's head, over the camel's body, passing through the public domain, and because there was so much flax over that camel, and its flax protruded into a shop. It was a store, and the guy was driving very close to the store, and his flax was overloaded, and it protruded. The dolka and the guy in the store had a candle, and that was his source of light. There's a candle in the store. The window maybe had been open, and boom, it caught fire and was ignited by the shopkeeper's light. So the shopkeeper's light caught fire. I mean, the flax caught fire with the shopkeeper's light. The hidlikas habira, and the burning flax then set a mansion outside ablaze. It caused that an entire building should be destroyed with that fire. It all began with the flax touching the fire, the candles. The camel owner is liable for all the damage to the building. He should have been more careful. Why did he overload it? You don't overload a camel like that. It's his fault. That's negligence. What happens if the guy who owns the store kept his candle outside the store? Look at the last line of the page. If, turn to the next page. If, however, on the short page here, if, however, the shopkeeper placed his light outside the shop in a public domain, then it's his responsibility. Why did you keep your light outside? You know, people walk by with camels. The shopkeeper is liable. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, says Rabbi Yehuda, but if it's a ner Chanukah, if the candle was not a regular candle, but a Chanukah lich, case of a Chanukah light that he kept outside, supposed to light outside. The Chanukah lich is supposed to be kept outside. Then he is putter. You can't blame the guy who lit the Chanukah lich because he was doing a mitzvah, and the mitzvah is to light it outside. The camel driver is the one responsible. He should have realized it's Chanukah. People have their candles outside. Now wait a second. How high does the Chanukah menorah have to be, by the way? What's the best height? Between 3 and 10. Not on the floor. If you can put it below 10 tefachim is about 30 inches. 32 maybe. So 30 inches is the best height. You can have it all the way up to 30. It could be anywhere from 3 tefachim, which is about 9, 10 inches off the ground, until 30 inches. How about if it's more than 30 inches? How about if it's this high? Is it kosher? Yes. It's kosher. It's not the best way of doing a mitzvah. It's kosher as long as it's not, how high? What's too high? 20 cubits. 20 amos is about 30 feet up. If you have a menorah hanging 30 feet up in the air, That would seem even if the bottom of the menorah is touching the ground, but the lights are 30 feet away from the ground, you can't really see that. If you can't see that, it doesn't publicize the miracle very well. So it's not kosher. Your eyes don't get to notice it so easily. It's hard to notice.
But what about the public ones?
Okay, the public menorahs are a little different, but even they are also not 30 amas, 20 amas high. They're usually not that high. Some want to say if the bottom of the menorah is on the ground, then since you see the bottom, you can also get to see the top too. It's only if the entire menorah is that high, then it becomes a problem. Likewise with 10 tefachim, what happens if your menorah, part of the menorah, the bottom of the menorah is within the 10 tefachim, and the top, when the light is above the 10 tefachim? That's okay. Unless if your entire menorah is above 10 tefachim, then you're missing out on the greatest mitzvah. Now here the Gemara is going to be asking a question. Wait a second. Why is the guy who lives at Chanukah lit putter? Why is he exempt? Because it's Chanukah? Okay. If there's no mitzvah, Gemara is going to bring a proof that there must be a mitzvah to light the candles below 10 tefachim. Because if there is no mitzvah to light the candle below 10 tefachim, he could have lit the candles much higher. Why do you light it so low when a camel driving by might hit it? Put your candles way up there, above the level of the camel driver. It's kosher. If you're going to say it's kosher, then he should be chayiv. The fact that we say that the Chanukah menorah, the guy who owns the Chanukah menorah is potter, is exempt, you know what that tells us? That you can't tell him to light the Chanukah menorah that high, because the mitzvah is to light it lower. We'll see what the Gemara says here. Amar Ravina. Ravina says, Zel Tomeret. The fact that the Chanukah menorah, the guy who owns the menorah is potter, is exempt. You can't blame the guy who's doing a mitzvah. This ruling of Rabbi Yehuda indicates that the requirement is to place the Chanukah light within 10 tefachim of the ground. For if it enters your mind that one may place it above 10 tefachim, even in the first place, and even if you're going to say there's no mitzvah to have your menorah within 10 tefachim, you can put it as high as you want as long as it's within 20 amos, then let the damaged party tell the menorah, the guy who owns the menorah, you could have kept your menorah higher. Say to the shopkeeper, I know you're Chanukah, I know you want to light outside, but light up there. You should have placed your Chanukah light above the height of the camel and its rider. For you knew that a lower placement is hazardous. You know that lighting it low is dangerous. There's no mitzvah to light it low. Since the damaged party is denied such a winning claim, the guy who owns the camel can tell the Chanukah menorah guy to do that. What does that prove? The Chanukah menorah, one who owns the Chanukah menorah can easily say, I'm sorry, the mitzvah is to light it within 10 tefachim. And you know that mitzvah. So again, the fact that he's exempt proves that it must be a mitzvah to light it within 10 tefachim. For if there's no such mitzvah, he should be blamed for lighting it so low. On that, the Gemara says, no. You know why? There might be, really, the truth is, you're right. It could very well be, that's no proof. It could very well be there's no mitzvah to put it below 10 tefachim. So how come we don't want to make him chayiv? Why don't we want to make him liable? You know what's going to happen? If you're going to make the guy who put the menorah outside, and you're going to say that your menorah caused the fire, and therefore you got to pay a heavy price, they'll say, you know what? I don't need Chanukah menorah anymore. I'm not going to light candles anymore. I get punished for lighting for doing a mitzvah. I don't light anymore. Or a light inside, which in those days was customary to light outside, which is not doing the mitzvah properly. So therefore, it could very well be there's no mitzvah. You can't prove that. It could be there's no mitzvah to light it lower. And we still won't blame him because we're afraid if we blame him, he will lose his desire to do the mitzvah the next time. That's what Gemara says in the next piece. But perhaps the Gemara says, Gemara is not convinced by this argument. We cannot prove that there's a mitzvah to light below 10 tefachim. Maybe the reason why he's exempt, perhaps if the shopkeeper is put to great deal of trouble, he will eventually refrain from performing the commandment of the Chanukah lights. Hence, his non-liability may possibly derive from this consideration. We're not saying he's exempt because he did the mitzvah properly. He didn't. He could have lit it higher, but we don't want to bother a guy who's doing a mitzvah. And it cannot serve as a proof that Chanukah lights should be placed within 10 tefachim on the ground. Okay, now the Gemara goes further. By the way, I mentioned last week, if you heard, that there's also a strange situation. We make 3 brachas the first night and 2 the rest of the nights. What's the second bracha?
Something
nisim. When do we make only the second bracha, not the first, not the third?
When you see the menorah, like if you travel.
if you're not gonna have any, you're not gonna have a chance to light candles yourself. You're gonna miss the candle lighting altogether, right? Right, you're on the road, and there's no one in your house that's lighting for you. You're stuck, and you see a menorah, not a public menorah. That might not be enough. A private person's menorah, you see through the window. You can even, some say you have to be able to see the oil and the actual oil itself, not just the actual fire from far. You have to actually see the whole menorah. You make a bracha, just one bracha. The first night you make two brachas. Asa nisim and shechayanu. It's the second night. You already lit candles the first night. You make which bracha? Asa nisim. It's called the bracha of the seer, of one who sees but does not get a chance to light. What about Shabbos? On Shabbos we can't light. Say Friday night, you're walking by Friday night, no one lighting candles for you. There's no one home. You're on the, for whatever reason, you're stuck somewhere. You got stuck somewhere and there's no one home, and you missed out candle lighting, and now you see a menorah. What about on Shabbos? Do you make the bracha she'asa nisim, or only when you're able to light? Only when it's possible to light the candles, like the weekdays, then you make that bracha. But when you've already entered Shabbos, when you can't make the bracha of lahadlik anymore, too late. Shabbos. Some hold. It's a very interesting shaila. Some say you do not make that bracha. You can only make the bracha during the week, not on Shabbos.
Why?
Because the bracha is in place of kindling. If you don't kindle on Shabbos, you don't want to kindle on Shabbos, and you don't make that bracha. It's only during the week. Okay. We have a few minutes. Let's see the Gemara. Here we have a connection to the parsha of the week of Yosef. Yosef was thrown into a pit. What does it say about the pit? It was empty. It had no water. So the Gemara is going to ask, if you say it's empty, I know it had no water. The bar was empty. Ein bo mayim. Double talk. It already said it's empty. So why do you have to add the words ein bo mayim? If it had mayim, it's not empty. Yeah?
It wasn't empty, there were like snakes and.
Empty from water. Mayim only was empty. It was raked from good things, but it had other dangerous scorpions and snakes there. You might want to ask the question, why did Reuben throw him in there then? Save a life? You're throwing him into a pit where there's snakes and scorpions, and you expect him to bring, you expect him to come back? Yeah.
Snakes were a metaphor.
What is it? Some say that there weren't any actually snakes there. Or not that Reuben did not know that there were snakes there. He thought this pit was an empty pit. I never heard that as a metaphor. That I never heard. Others say Reuben was saying like this: I don't think it's right if we kill him, we have free choice. We're gonna be violating murder. If he's right, if Yosef does not deserve to die, Hashem will save him. Because snakes and scorpions don't have free choice. Hashem will save him. But if we kill him, Hashem can't stop that. We have choice. Hashem can stop the snakes. He can't stop us. Let's make a test. Let's throw him into the thing, and I bet you he'll be saved. I have a hunch that he's going to be saved. We'll bring him back to our father. That's what some say. Anyways, the Gemara talks about Chanukah and switches gears all of a sudden and talks about Yosef. And it seems to be no flow here. Let's see the Gemara next. Another law regarding the placement, before we get to that story with the empty pit, another law regarding the placement of the Chanukah lights. Omar of Kahana. Kahana said, Darav Rav Nosson bar Manyumi mishmejed Rab Tanchum. Rav Nosson bar Manyumi expounded in the name of Rab Tanchum. What did he say? These are just names. Nosson bar Manyumi, Nosson, a son of a person named Manyumi, in the name of Rab Tanchum. What did he say? Look at the next page. It says the following. Ner shel Chanukah. A Chanukah light that one places above 20 amas from the ground, pasula. It is puzzle. Just like a sukkah, the schach is more than 20 amas high, 30 feet up the ground. Sukkah is not kosher. Ukim mavoi. And the mavoi, what's a mavoi? I don't know what a mavoi is. This is hard. A mavoi is an alleyway. An alleyway that's open to the street. Those days they used to have interesting way. They used to have houses in a little yard. The yard would open up to an alley, closed from all three sides. So you're allowed to carry there. It's like a private domain. It's closed from three sides. But because the fourth side is completely open to the public domain, it's so easy to forget and carry from your house, going into the mavoi and walking outside, because there's nothing reminding you. It's open to the outside. So you need a reminder. What's a reminder? Having a crossboard, a cross beam, going and the crossbeam is like a reminder, a stop sign. It serves as a stop sign. Remember, stop here, don't go any further. Don't walk outside. You came from your house. What happened to the crossbeam is 20 amas high or above 20 amas. You can't see it. You can't see it. It doesn't remind you of anything. We have three things that are not kosher. A Chanukah licht too high is no good. The schach of a sukkah is no good. And the mavoi and the crossbeam of a mavoi. Mavoi means an alleyway. Just closed from three sides, but open on the fourth side to the street. Has to have a crossbeam not too high. Okay, thank you. Next piece. Out of the blue, the Rav Kana, and Rav Kana said something else, which has nothing to do with what he said before. Nothing to do with Chanukah. My Dirse, what is the meaning of that which is written regarding the pit into which the brothers threw Yosef? It says, why does it have to say that there's no water? If it's empty, obviously it has no water. From the plain meaning of what it stated, from the implication that it is empty, can I not infer that it has no water? Why do you need to say it has no water? Any day of any by mind, do I not know that it has no water? Empty means it has no water. Ella ma tamat loma ain by mayim. Mayim it didn't have, but it had snakes and scorpions. It could also have the metaphor, if you don't have water in your head, meaning Torah. If Torah is not in your brain, what comes into your head? Snakes and scorpions. If you're not permeated with Kedusha, holiness, having a mind that's not occupied with Torah usually means the mind is occupied in something very negative. So it's a metaphor for snakes and scorpions, meaning, that's what you mean. Snakes and scorpions meaning something very negative, if that's what you meant. And yes, there is a concept of something very negative and dangerous called a snake or a scorpion that enters a person's mind when your mind is empty from Torah. And the Gemara goes back to Chanukah again. Where do you light it? By the door. Close. Which side of the door? Right or left?
Across from the mezuzah.
Yeah.
Mezuzah on the, if the mezuzah, if you have a mezuzah, the mezuzah on the right, that's on the left. You're surrounded with mitzvahs. In the middle, you have two laws of Chanukah: how high and where to put it, what side of the door. In the middle, we throw in Yosef. What kind of Gemara is this? Put the Yosef afterward if you want. But why was Yosef be smacking between the two? That's the question that begs to be asked. What does it mean when a Chanukah menorah is way above our visual sight? It means the miracle is, we say it's far beyond us. We can't relate to miracles. I'm living in the 21st century, 2025. Come on, miracles don't happen. It happened once upon a time, when you had the base on English, maybe. They don't happen today anymore. I can't relate to it. It doesn't talk to me. That's the idea of above 20 almas. I can't visualize it. It's so far away from me. We said before with the shin. It's too far. It's over there. It's over there. In those days it happened. It doesn't happen in our days. Bayom Elohim is manazeh? No. Bayom Elohim, there, then. That's what a menorah is too high. Who was greater, Yosef or his brothers? He was head and shoulders greater than them. They thought he was a modern guy, he's going to modernize Judaism. Yosef was way, way above them. And he had a problem. He looked down at his brothers and almost like laughed at the fact that they think he's a modern Orthodox guy. He was so holy, he just laughed at how they can't perceive who he is. And therefore he came very often said Lashon Hara about them. He talked about that they are eating Avim and Achai, a limb off a live animal, and they're being disrespectful to the other brothers. He mentioned a lot of things. He used to talk against them. These guys are very angry and jealous. That was his problem. Yosef was like the candle that's over 20 amas high, and he couldn't relate to them. He was too far removed from them. You have to be able to go down. I know you're great, but you have to be able to understand other people who are not as great as you. And that was why he ended up in a pit. If you look down at other people, even though you are way, way head and shoulders above them, you end up falling into you end up falling in this trouble. You fall into a pit, you know what happens? You get sold. Where do you find yourself? Among snakes and scorpions in Egypt. There's no water, there's no Torah over there. There's a lot of snakes and scorpions. So because Yosef was like the candle menorah that was so high, he couldn't look down. He couldn't see them. He felt they're not my purview. They have a different wavelength. I can't relate to them. Like they couldn't relate to him. That's no good. You should be able to, as great as you are, be able to see people that are not on your level. That's why right after it says a candle menorah is so high, it's puzzle. Look what happens to Yosef. He falls into a pit. He's thrown into a pit, and again and ends up being sold to Mitzrayim. And the name Yosef represents Chanukah. Because what's Yosef mean? Add a candle each night. Add a candle each night. Who was the one who asked the question? Why do we have 8 days of Hanukkah, not 7? After all, the first night was no miracle. You had enough oil for one night. That's a famous $1 million question. Has 1,000 answers. Mentioned last week. Who was the one who asked this question? Actually, the two people. One of them is the Beis Yosef. Rabbi Yosef Karo. It's his question. It's called the famous Beis Yosef's question. There's also another posek who lived before the Beis Yosef called the Meiri. Lived about 150 years before the Beis Yosef. Meiri sounds like light. Meiri. Yosef. Beis Yosef. All indicating adding light, source of light in the world. They have this question. This question is a question that has 1,000 answers. One of the answers is what you said, that each night, even the first night, only 1/8 burned. Only 1/8, the whole thing should have burnt out. Only 1/8 burned. Another way of explaining the miracle is all of it burned and then reappeared the next morning. Either in the jug or in the menorah. So it burned and then reappeared. The Rebbe has another version, a third version of what happened. In the first version, there's two ways to explain it. Either they put all the eight eighths in the menorah and only 1/8 burned, or they only put 1/8. The first night they put 1/8 of what they have. And that 1/8 lasted a whole night. Another answer by the first night, we found the oil. That's a miracle. We found the oil. We found one cruise of, that's a miracle. In fact, we even found it. We won the war. It's also a miracle. First night, we celebrate the winning of the war. There are a lot of answers. Another answer is, if you light the first night and you're in despair, okay, I guess we have no choice. I guess we have to, can't rely on miracles. Then your Hanukkah menorah oil is tainted with despair, with negativity. Hanukkah is being optimistic. That's the first night. Wish her my name Mazel Tov.
Yes.
Sure. Who's the cousin? You know the cousins? No, how would you know?
No.
Probably an Israeli.
No, he's American.
Really?
He's from
Oh.
yes.
Where's the Chaim gonna be?
In Israel.
Gonna be in Israel.
Yeah.
Oh, not here.
But in Miami.
Miami.
Go to Miami. I've never been.
Oh, he's from Miami?
Yeah, he's from Miami.
Actually, we're over there now.
Yes.
Wait, you're Miami? He's from.
No, he's from Miami. I think. What? Thank you, Rabbi Greenberg.
I'm going to.
Good Shabbos.
I'm going to.
I'm actually going to say.
You don't understand, Alex. One thing is taking on the no, I felt, guys.
You
this is
felt
waking me
sleep
up.
too.
If I slept
No,
here,
no,
you
no.
woke me up. Whatever, I'm very grateful. I felt so bad.